Once upon a time, there was a young, athletic boy, hungry for success, for whom winning was everything, and success was measured just by winning. One day, the boy was preparing himself for a running competition in his small village, himself and two other young boys to compete. A large crowd had gathered to witness the sporting spectacle, and a wise old man, upon hearing of the little boy, had traveled far to bear witness also. The race commenced, looking like a level heat at the finishing line. But sure enough, the boy dug deep and called on his determination, strength, and power. He took the winning line and was first. The crowd was ecstatic and cheered and waved at the boy. The wise man remained still and calm, expressing no sentiment. The little boy, however, felt proud and important. A second race was called, and two new, young, fit challengers came forward to run with the little boy. The race was started, and sure enough, the little boy came through and finished first once again. The crowd was ecstatic again and cheered and waved at the boy. The wise man remained still and calm, again expressing no sentiment. The little boy, however, felt proud and important. Another race, pleaded the little boy. The wise old man stepped forward and presented the little boy with two new challengers, an elderly frail lady and a blind man. "What is this?" quizzed the little boy. "This is no race," he exclaimed. "Race," said the wise man. The race was started, and the boy was the only finisher. The other two challengers left standing at the starting line. The little boy was ecstatic. He raised his arms in delight. The crowd, however, were silent, showing no sentiment toward the little boy. "What has happened? Why not do the people join in my success?" he asked the wise old man. "Race again," replied the wise man. "This time, finish together, all three of you. Finish together," continued the wise man. The little boy thought a little, stood in the middle of the blind man and the frail old lady, and then took the two challengers by the hand. The race began, and the little boy walked slowly, ever so slowly, to the finishing line and crossed it. The crowd were ecstatic and cheered and waved at the boy. The wise man smiled, gently nodding his head. The little boy felt proud and important. "Old man, I understand not. Who are the crowd cheering for? Which one of us three?" asked the little boy. The wise old man looked into the little boy's eyes, placing his hands on the boy's shoulders, and replied softly, "Little boy, for this race you have won much more than in any race you have ever ran before. And for this race, the crowd cheer not for any winner." You see, in life, in your life, what are you running for? Are you hungry for success? Is winning the only measurement for you in your life? Who are you running against? And if you always win against everybody, then soon the people will stop cheering for you. At the end of your life, if you look back, the question is, who was running next to you in this race? If they were weaker and old, did you help them to get across the line? Did you all finish together? Because that is the best race you can ever run. So run this race called life. But don't forget, it is not important if you win. It is important how you run this race.
Hello dear children, hope you're all good. Today let's have a quick analysis of the poem Wind. Originally written in Tamil by Subramaniam Bharati and later translated in English by A.K. Ramanujan. Now let us see a quick glance of what is told in the poem. Actually, it is all about wind And we all know that wind is a natural phenomenon, right? In the poem, the poet has described the nature of the wind and addressed it as destructive in certain situations. He compares wind to the lives of human beings. He says that weak people break down quickly, but healthy people emerge out stronger. And this poem also gives a fundamental lesson that we should be mentally tough and physically fit to survive life's hardships. Life is all about mixture of joys and sorrows, right? So when tough time comes, we should be mentally and physically prepared. However, a weak person tends to crumble and break down quickly. So we must befriend. Befriend means being friendly, being a friend. So we must befriend the wind just like we should befriend the adversities of life. Let me read to you the poem now. Wind, wind, come softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. He won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Practice to firm the body. Make the heart steadfast. Do this and the wind will be friends with us. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. Written by Subramani Bharati and translated by A.K. Ramanujan. A nice poem, isn't it? On seeing the harshness of the wind, he is asking not to be harsh. That is what told there. And let us see a detailed summary of the poem. Here, the poet is talking to the wind. The poet says that wind comes delicately and softly. Then he describes that the mighty wind is destructive. The soft wind is something delicate which never harms anybody. But strong wind, mighty wind is always destructive. And it breaks the shutters and windows and scatters things like paper. He also says that weak beings like plants or children tend to get fearful or hurt whenever the wind is strong. The poet initially refers to the wind as a child. Later on, he calls it destructive, like a youth full of energy and violence. The poet says that everything breaks when the wind is extreme and aggressive. Just like when weak people face hardship or challenge in life, they fall or break down. And the poet metaphorically wants us to make friends with the wind, that is, the hardships in our lives. Wind here stands for the hardships we face, the tough times we face, the difficult situation we face. He says that we should be ready for the problems. He keeps comparing the wind to God. He says that we must pray to it daily. He also says that everything weak gets destroyed in the face of the strong wind. Also, all the things that are strong flourish and grow stronger and stronger. And the poet gives us the message we should make ourselves physically and mentally healthy to face these challenges. When we become their friends, we will be happy to become more robust and better because of the difficulties and hardships of our lives. So that is about the poem and its explanation. Now let us deal with some poetic devices used there. First thing is alliteration. Alliteration, you know well. It is the repetition of initial consonant sound. Here, strong fires roar and flourish. F, first sound is getting repeated. And then we have metaphor. Metaphor, the whole poem is a metaphor here, as it ends on a note to humanity to stand against all ravages, natural or man-made. And then personification. The wind has been personified and has been addressed as a destructive force of weak things. You could see his friend is good. He won't do what you tell him. These are some samples, and the wind is treated as he here, as a human being. Now comes repetition. Repetition, the words getting repeated. The word crumbling has been repeated all through. Crumbling doors, crumbling windows, and crumbling lives. And before we go into dealing with MCQs, understand these 4 points. We should be strong in mind and body. The wind indicates the difficulties and challenges that we face in our lives. We should face our problems boldly and stay firm in difficult situations. Unless we fight with our hardships, we cannot expect success. That is just told all through the poem. Now some MCQs. What does the poet ask the wind to do? To come fast, to come softly, not to blow, none of these. What's your answer? To come softly. Question number 2. What did the wind tear? Pages of the book, newspapers, curtains, all of these. What's your answer? Pages of the book. Question number 3. Why does the poet call the wind clever? Because it comes quickly, because it destroys everything, because it makes fun of the weaklings, because it is very powerful. Your answer is because it makes fun of the weaklings. Question number 4. How does the wind behave with the non-living object? It crushes them all. It does not touch them. It makes them strong. It becomes friendly with them. What's your answer? It crushes them all. Question number 5. At whom does the wind poke fun? At the weaklings, at the powerful, at the neighborhood, at the common man. It is more or less similar to question number 4, at the weaklings. Question number 6. What does the wind god do? The wind god crushes and then forgives them all. The wind god makes everyone happy. The wind god sings a song for them all. The wind god crushes and winnows them all. And the answer is, the wind god crushes and winnows them all. What quality of wind is shown in the poem? The wind is very friendly. The wind is very disturbed. The wind is really helpful. The wind is very powerful. And the answer is, the wind is very powerful. Question number 8. What does the poet ask the people to do? To build weak houses, doors, and have firm hearts. To build strong houses, doors, and have firm hearts. To build weak houses, windows, and have firm hearts. To be friendly with winds and have firm hearts. And the answer is, to build strong houses, doors, and have firm hearts. Question number 9. What will happen if we do what the poet say? Options. The wind will be at our feet. The wind will not be able to chase us. The wind will not harm us and become our friend. The wind will not harm us and become our enemy. And the answer is, the wind will not harm us and become our friend. According to the poet, how can we make our body strong? By taking a lot of protein, by running fast, by reading a lot, by exercising our body. By exercising our body is the answer. What is the poet's suggestion for us? The poet motivates us to become strong. The poet suggests us to laugh a lot. The poet wants us to eat a lot. The poet wants us to be very clever. And the answer is the poet motivates us to become strong. What does the wind do with the strong fires? It weakens it. It does not say anything at all. It does not become friendly with the fire. It makes the strong fire flourish and more fierce. And the answer is it makes the strong fire flourish and more fierce. Question number 13. Why does the poet say his friendship is good? Because his friendship gives strength, because it protects us from all evils, because it's a blessing, because it will not harm us then. And your answer is because his friendship gives us strength. And question number 14. What do we praise every day? Wind god, sun god, the earth god, the tree god. Answer is wind god. Question number 15. Name the poetic device used in this line. Apostrophe, metaphor, simile, personification. And the answer is apostrophe. Why it is called an apostrophe? Because actually when the speaker or the poet is directly addressing someone or something that is not present in the poem, then it is called apostrophe. It is a figure of speech. Okay, and it can also be called as personification because wind has been treated as a person. So both the options are right. Question number 16. Explain the poetic device used in this line. Crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters. Repetition, metaphor, pun, personification. And the answer is, it's obvious, repetition. The word crumbling is getting repeated. And what about the wind god? Simile, personification, alliteration, metaphor. Nothing but metaphor. And what is the other metaphor find here? Wind god winnows. Is it simile or metaphor or pun or alliteration? Here it is very obvious, it is alliteration because WW go together. Now let us discuss some of the question answers. What plea does the poet make when he addresses the wind? While addressing the wind, the poet makes a plea of not to bring destruction for humanity. It should also not scatter papers, break the shutters of the windows, bring rain and throw down books from shelves. Next question. What are the figures of speech in the poem Wind? The most common figure of speech in the poem is anaphora, which means the repetition of certain words. The repetition of the word don't in the first 3 lines of the poem is an example of anaphora. Also, the entire poem is a metaphor as it ends on a note of application to humanity to stand against all ravages, natural or man-made. Next question. Can wind ever be friends with us? Wind literally can be our friend. Wind is a phenomenon which teaches us how to be strong. Our friends always teach us to be strong and determined. In times of need, wind wants us to find our obstacles. Hence, we have to be strong when there are obstacles in our life so that we don't get beaten up by them. Next question. Is wind regarded as a symbol of destruction in the poem? Explain. In the poem, first stanza depicts the destruction caused by wind. The wind tears the pages of the books, brings rain again and again, and destroys the daily life of the weaker section of the world. The strong or gusty winds represents turmoil and trouble in our life. These troubles are to be ignored. Next question. How and why does the poet plan to befriend the wind? The poet plans to befriend the wind by building strong homes, shutting the doors firmly, and practicing to keep the body firm. The poet wants to befriend the wind because he thinks that the wind makes strong fires roar and flourish. So, friendship with the wind is good. What happened when the wind came? The wind breaks the shutters of the windows. scatters the papers, and throws down the books on the shelf. It also tears the pages of the book and pokes fun at the weaklings. Next question. Describe the central idea of the poem. The poem Wind inspires us to face the challenges thrown at us with grit and firm determination. We should be strong enough to face all the hardships of life with courage. Wind symbolizes problems and obstacles that we all face and go through at some point of time in our lives. Does the poet reflect the human suffering being initiated by wind? Explain with examples. Children, here you can go with your own explanation. A sample is given here, just go through it. I believe that wind is a poignant example of the metaphor of God's will for a variety of reasons. Firstly, the wind is invisible, but the effects it has on other aspects of this world are clear and evident. The poem reflects upon the constructive and destructive paths taken by the wind. Wind is extreme and violent, but not necessarily legitimate with anger and emotions. Wind creates compassion, but apathy at the same time in humans' life. Winds emphasize the passionate, intense nature of the poet, while the decay and death inherent in the metaphor suggest the sacrifice and suffering of humans. We also see that wind is a metaphor for the God's will because its effects in this world can be both beneficial and ostensibly destructive. What challenges are posed by wind in the life of the poet and the common man? In our lives, wind affects our daily routine. It hampers and dampens the spirit of life around. According to the poet, rain and wind are deeds of nature that are perceived as the tempest forces which destroy the old and evil inside a man in order to create joy and liberty in his mind. Wind is the difficult natural phenomenon that is very difficult to be predicted accurately, just as our problems which can arise from nowhere. It can hit us at any time of our life. For frail people, literally and metaphorically, wind creates barriers. Winds do not let a frail body or frail mind survive. But on the other hand, if you are strong, you have the power and will to survive and fight back. Wind can never be a threat to the living being. Now let us know some of the useful expressions from inside the poem. The first one is poking, nothing but making fun of. The next expression is crumbling lives, devastating life and property. The next expression is winnows and crushes them all. Winnow is blowing strong air through the grain to remove the light-weighted chaff from it. Similarly, it can damage all kinds of weak things. The wind blows out weak. The wind is an enemy of the weak, can crush their doors and windows. It can also devastate their body. Practice to firm the body. We should have a strong body and heart to face the challenges of life. The final expression is we prize him every day, meaning the wind being powerful gives us strength. We prize him because it is our friend. That's all for today. Hope you have understood the poem Wind thoroughly. Meet you all in another class soon. Until then, take care. Thank you, children.